In 1909, Arnold Schoenberg wrote Pierrot Lunaire, which beautiful work, but it was the beginning of 12-tone music, where the harmonic structure, there's no preference given to any note over another note in order to create music, so it created more dissonant music. This was written just before World War I. So this poem is dedicated to Arnold Schoenberg's Pierrot Lunaire. It's called 12-Tone Row, and you'll get a whiff of enhanced interrogation and Abu Ghraib. It's a bit apocalyptic like his work. 12-Tone Row. And this is based on the 7th poem. There are 21 poems in the series of this work, and this is based on the 7th poem called The Sick Moon, Der kranke Mond. Der kranke Mond, sick moon. Black angel waltzed to her whitening lips. Coal swept up flew, eaten by the bird. Swine flew an old greasy moon. Hematoma subsided. He topped talking. Gray leaves turned blue in August. Emperor dressed and undressed, but no one noticed. Crow on the cradle ate other crow on the cradle. He gurgled, goggled, drowned. Exquisite exercise. Laryngitis, orange. He always ate fish. Her high heels pumps, pumped and pumped up. Electrodes protruding, he kneeled and prayed. Thumbs up.
All right.
Now, Julia de Burgos is considered perhaps the greatest poet, Puerto Rican poet. She died in 1953 on the streets of New York. She was living in New York. She was very much in favor of Puerto Rican independence. She was living in New York, died as a pauper, was buried in Potter's Field, but when the artists in Puerto Rico and South America found out about it, they brought her back to Puerto Rico, and she's buried there now. And now there are avenues, parks named after her in New York, Puerto Rico, Chicago, and so on. She wrote a poem called Nada, which means nothing, and this is my translation of the poem. Nada, by Julia de Burgos. A toast to life that is nothing in your philosophy. A toast to certainty of nothing in our bodies. Here's to the bloat of nothing in your blue lips, to the bloated zero in your blue kisses, all blue, all lies, bland oceans, white skies. A toast to nothing that sinks and rises in your desire, to the meat, the flesh, the spike, to the truth that lies to the endless night. Here's to nothing that is nothing in your soul. Here's to your lie that bolts in your frenzied cult, from nothing to nothing that dives to a dead star. A toast to us, to them, to no one. For the nothing that is always nothing in our bodies, for all, for less, for so much, for nothing. For living shadows that carve into the dead. And if we come and march from nothing between nothing and nothing, zero between zero and zero, and if nothing is between nothing and nothing, a toast to beauty that is not our body. One of our great poets of the 20th century. Now this is a poem of mine. This is the last poem I'm going to do. It's called Meditation on the Poet's Death. Stink of garlic on his breath. Meditation on the poet's death. Stink of garlic on his breath. Or was it? Perhaps it was the stink of death. The stink of garlic on the poet's breath. Was it the stink of garlic or the stink of death? Strange. I smelled the foul odor, and I do not have a good sense of smell. No one else mentioned it. Maybe they were being polite. But I smelled garlic. Garlic, you, the poet, reeked of it. It was in the basement of the underground poets, but no one smelled your breath. None or mentioned it. You died 2 weeks later. It must have been the stink of death. Once someone smelled garlic or death on my breath. Norman in Halifax in 1972, he told me, only a friend can tell you this. He told me, suck on Hall's cough drops, gargle with Listerine, speak to my dentist. But if it was death, there would be no remedy. Perhaps I was about to die, but didn't. Perhaps a stroke of luck prevented it, an accident on the ferry back from Halifax. Perhaps I was carrying death deep within me and reeked of it. The foul odor reeked in Norman's delicate nostril. My dentist said I had no stink in my mouth. My mother said I had no stink in my mouth, but Mother loved me. She would never tell me. And after Mother died, a week after Mother died in 2005, Brother said to me, do you remember Norman 33 years ago told you that you reeked of garlic? Well, you do. You reek. Suck on Halls, gargle with Listerine. No, it's beyond that. Speak to your dentist. Only a brother or a friend can tell you this. I did speak to my dentist. He said I had no stink in my mouth. I couldn't ask Mother, she had died. I couldn't ask my wife, she loved me and she would lie. Perhaps Brother was smelling the foul odor of Mother's death. Perhaps Mother had entered the abysmal zone, and Brother's delicate nostrils smelled the stink of garlic on my breath. Perhaps it was the stink of death. Perhaps when you enter the dead zone, where no calls can go in or out, perhaps when you go beyond the dead zone, beyond to the abysmal zone, where you cannot go back and can go no further, the stink of garlic wafts from the earth, or from what was the earth, from the abysmal zone. Perhaps when death extends his cloak, folds it around your shoulder, touches your neck with his finger, you reek with the stink of garlic.
Nice.